Hello, welcome everyone to our next virtual networking event of Empower Africa. My name is Shai Bernstein. I'm head of biz development at Empower Africa. And today's event is part of our series of monthly events on driving business in Botswana. So, welcome everybody. I know that some of you have been here before and others, this is the first time. So, just a quick explanation. This is a virtual networking event. So, you can be sure to move on from table to table by just finding an empty chair and clicking it twice, and there you can meet more people. You just have to make sure that your mic and camera on the bottom of the screen on the toolbar, the icon of the mic and camera are switched on so that you can communicate and meet new people. The agenda for today, we just had 30 minutes of networking, and in a few moments, we're going to start the panel discussion with senior leadership of ANB. And I'll present them in a few moments. We also, this is, by the way, a pre-recording, okay? So that we're gonna play the pre-recording, which is about 18 minutes. And right after that, we're gonna have a live Q&A session with the senior leadership. So if somebody has any questions, you can feel free to add your questions on the right side of the chat on the screen. You'll see a Q&A tab, and you can just add your questions over there. So before we continue, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Empower Africa is a business community with a mission to drive investment, trade, and job creation in Africa. We believe in trade over aid, and that business is the best way to create sustainable and scalable solutions. We believe in bringing good people together and the power of synergy. So it's about creating the connections, optimizing on the communication, and maximizing the collaboration that can be done between investors, entrepreneurs, multinational enterprises, government officials, nonprofits. All those entities are on our platform and part of our growing Empower Africa Business Network. Here's a short video, about a minute and 20 seconds, to just show you about a little bit more about Empower Africa for those of you who haven't been on one of our events before. So here's a short video.
There is so much potential for a business to succeed in Africa. When looking to grow or enter into a new market, it's always more successful when you have the right partners and a supportive community. Empower Africa is a business community for qualified investors, businesses, governments, institutions, and nonprofits from around the world seeking to drive sustainable economic development in Africa. Those who become members of Empower Africa get access to our digital business platform, have opportunities to engage Empower Africa's members and partner organizations, and can attend exciting networking events. Meet with and learn from renowned speakers at one of our virtual networking events, where you can build business relationships with experts in your field and find new partners to offer your services to. Member companies can also have a booth on the conference floor and engage a vetted and quality community that would be interested in their products and services. For investors who are looking for deals or entrepreneurs who have exciting projects, becoming a member means you get deal flow or raise capital on the Empower Africa Business Network. This platform is a private business network with dedicated marketplaces and focused sector and country chat rooms to do business and stay connected from anywhere in the world. Become a member of Empower Africa today and drive business in Africa.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the panel. On this panel, we have the senior leadership of ANB. Joining us here today, again, for this pre-recorded panel, but then live also, because they're all here for the Q&A session, we have Fred Maunze, Head of Communications at ANB. We have Mr. Lerumo Mogobe, who's Joint Head Mentorship at ANB. And of course, Mythri Sambasivan-George, who's Head of Investments at ANB. Okay, so right now I'm going to turn on the recording, and you guys can see the pre-recording of the panel. Two important aspects. Again, first of all, if you'd like, you'll see on the right side of my screen, in other words, my image, a way to enlarge the screen for your convenience if you'd like. But you'll always see on the right side of your screen, whether you enlarge it or not, the chat box. So anytime you have questions that you'd like to add for the Q&A session, please add it to that tab right over there. Okay? Okay, here we go. So again, we now have the panel discussion followed by a live Q&A session. All right, here you go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next event on driving business in Botswana. Very, very, very excited to have here the leadership of ANB, and we're going to hear a lot more about them in just a moment. For those of you joining us for the first time, Empower Africa is a business community with a mission to drive investment, trade, and job creation in Africa. We believe in trade over aid and that business is the best way to create sustainable and scalable solutions, and of course, enhancing the communication and collaboration between everyone. So, as you all know, we've done a lot of events with entrepreneurs, investors, and really throughout the continent. And Botswana is, of course, one of the most interesting countries on the continent, if you ask me personally. And we look forward to visiting there personally very soon. But please, I want to give the stage here to Mythri to start presenting ANB and the wonderful work that they're doing and they're working with, and all that they're working on. And of course, we have here two other members of the senior leadership. We'll present them in just a moment. So please, Mythri.
Thanks very much, Shai, and greetings to everybody from around the world who's joined this forum to support the Botswana narrative on enterprise development. As Shai has said, my name is Mythri Sambasivan-George. I'm an investor, a finance leader, a chartered accountant, a mother, a wife, and I sit on a couple of boards as well. I also happen to head up investments for Angel Network Botswana, which is a COVID baby by all accounts. So it took birth around the turn of COVID. And so we're quite young, but we're very happy to say that we've made very tangible progress into investment, both within the Botswana economy, early stage startup enterprises, as well as across the African continent. ANB, as we call ourselves, Angel Network Botswana, is premised on three key pillars. And those pillars are networking, mentorship, and of course, investment or deal flow into startups. And I'm very happy to say that after the efforts that we've made into connecting all the dots between the startup ecosystem in terms of the founders themselves and their business concepts, into the government state-owned enterprises that are part of this ecosystem, and all the way through to the investment community, we'll be probably recording about just over $1 million pula worth of investments into Botswana-owned, founded startups during 2021 alone, which will be our first major year of investment. And we really look forward to building on that success in subsequent years in collaboration and partnership with the likes of Empower Africa globally, as well as the Botswana government and all its agencies locally. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fred, you want to go next?
Hi, everybody. Fred Maunze is my name. So I am also part of the Angel Network Botswana team. My role is as a board member. I head communications. In my life, I'm an entrepreneur. I am a father as well of three. I think I'm involved in about 4 or 5 businesses, within Botswana and the SADC region. It's been a fantastic, year and a half odd of ANB. From the formation, seeing the organization, seeing more and more people interested in taking part, as investors, and also then getting to spend more and more time working with entrepreneurs, either as somebody providing advice or as a mentor and things like that. And I do see some great things coming from the collaborations we're looking to form with, as Mike mentioned, Empower Africa, and with the parastatal organizations we formed partnerships with in Botswana, and the private as well, going forward and things like that. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Mr. Mogobe, please.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm privileged and honored to be part of this panel. As I said, I may have been mentioned earlier, I'm an entrepreneur. I currently run 11 business entities, including restaurants, mainly active in the in the property development space. We acquire properties and so on and so forth. I'm a founder member of Angel Network Botswana, which we started, like Mythri mentioned, at the beginning of COVID. And we are very proud that it is growing, and we have been able to get involved in quite a number of startups. Our modus operandi is very straightforward. Essentially, we identify a young entrepreneur who has interest in growing, and then that entrepreneur is referred to people like Mythri, who will help them make their enterprise investable in terms of going through the basics, whether it's accounting, setting up systems and so on and so forth. And as head of the mentorship committee with Mr. Gurumuti, we then take them through and we try to then mentor them and try and direct them in terms of guiding them as to what to do to set up their businesses in such a way that it's investable and it's scalable. That's basically what you do. We have people like Fred and others who will then take the entrepreneur through those motions. I have the additional advantage that I have a YouTube podcast called Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. People should just subscribe if they have a chance. But the whole purpose of the podcast, apart from promoting entrepreneurship, is to also give a platform to A and B. And I'm honored that both Mythri and Fred and quite a number of other A and B members have been on the platform just to basically explain what they're about and to promote their entrepreneurship businesses. And some of the startups that we've already invested in have made an appearance also on Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom. So that is the sort of thing I'm excited about, to try and promote and develop entrepreneurship as much as possible in Botswana.
Wow, fantastic. First of all, I'm saying it again, Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom. You guys should check it out. I'm definitely going to check it out. Thank you, Mogobe. I think that one of the most beautiful things here is really that, that ANB is working on, and I'd love to have a few questions to understand better and that everyone can understand better. As we all know, entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. And I think everyone here on this panel, including myself, has experienced it in some shape or form. I think that many times way too many successes are highlighted, well as not enough of the failures, when we all know that failing is part of the process and failing is part of life. And so I'll touch on that in a moment, but I wanted to understand a little bit better about ANB in terms of, is the process, is there a specific course? Is it a specific amount of time that you work with the companies, helping them with the mentorship? Mythri.
Yeah, maybe I'll just take that quickly. Look, it's very much by design, in the sense that it depends entirely on the state of the enterprise that comes, where it's at in its life cycle, how much traction it's achieved, primarily also the team that's behind it, the founder or the co-founders, where they're at in their headspace, how much have they bootstrapped. And so we really play this by ear. There is no hard and fast rule. And I think, that's the beauty of how we've approached it, is we are so open to absolutely any kind of configuration, all the way from a completely tech-enabled business or tech-heavy business to one that has zero tech touch, but solves a real problem, right, in the economy. And so we're extremely open-ended about what that looks like. And an example is that when we had an informal demo day back in, I believe, 2019, November, with Botswana Innovation Hub, who are a key partner for us. They've now renamed to Botswana Innovation Hub, I believe. And they hosted us at their premises pre-COVID, obviously. One of the leaders who pitched on the day had a great business idea. She makes organic, natural skincare products. Fred is actually a long-standing mentor of hers. And so the business idea she had was good in action, but she wasn't yet investable. And so Fred and a couple of other angels said, look, we'll mentor you. Fast forward 2 years down the line, we are going to close an investment into her business, hopefully this month or next month, and are looking to attract further grant funding for her off the back of an ABAN initiative as well, so with Catalytic Africa. And that mentorship took over 2 years, but we sometimes have startups where the founder has everything sorted, and they're ready to go to write a deal in like the next 4 weeks, subject to due diligence. So it really depends.
That's beautiful. I really think, look, when you have a tailor-made ability to be so agile, that's the best. That's fantastic. It's interesting to see that throughout the past 2 decades or so, when really startups and entrepreneurship all over the world within innovation has just been skyrocketing, right? And it's so fascinating to see, of course, what's happening across the continent. And I think most of the world, by the way, is not, is not realizing what's happening and what amazing things are happening throughout Botswana and the rest of the continent. I think one of the most important things that you guys are doing is, at the end of the day, there's so many variables in opening up a business and scaling and bootstrapping, but there are some tips, and there are some methods that one can go through, right? And I think that that's one of the beautiful things about a mentorship, is that somebody who succeeded already, like yourselves, right? And Mogobe was talking before about the different ventures that he has, and it's extremely fascinating. When somebody has done it before, there's so much that you can give, because you can come and say to that entrepreneur, listen, your enthusiasm is great, your product is fantastic, but if you don't do X, Y, Z, right, you're probably going to fail. Here's how you could do it, right? And then we have this like set of skills or tips that can help an entrepreneur get, maybe 80% of the way. Because at the end of the day, a lot of it is timing. The product may be too early, maybe too late, right? Too much competition and so on. I'd love to hear from you guys. What are some of these tips that come to your mind? That you would say to on an elevator pitch, maybe, of like a tip for entrepreneurs, right?
Okay, I'll take this. I think Mr. Mogobe and I actually covered some aspects of this during an interview we had on the Mogobe magazine. But I'll just sum it down from the 10 points we covered that time to probably just 3 things, and to be more specific. A lot of the times when someone comes to me, speaks to me about, they have an idea on a business, they have equipment or whatever it is. The first thing that I'm normally interested is the research that's actually gone into determining what area of business you want to get into, be it fintech, manufacturing, property tech, or just property, or whatever it is. What research has driven you to venture into this idea? I'd like to see the metrics, the numbers in terms of who you're trying to service, where are these people that you're trying to service. From there, for me, the next breakdown goes into obviously the planning. I'll speak from a manufacturing point of view. So I have a couple of people come to me and say, I want to set up a manufacturing plant, right in the heart of Gaborone. And my first questions in that particular point is to sit down and say, does your product need, is it a customer-facing product, or is it something that you can make someone and ship it into the city? So that if once it's a customer-facing product, obviously then it makes sense to put it in the middle of the city. If it's not, city, what do you mean? Part of the city, reduce your overheads and really focus on production. So when this is when I talk about the planning aspect in terms of how you actually want to bring this particular product to life. And then the last part at the end of the day for me, execution. I think we sometimes have conversations with Mythri as well, where someone can come with this wonderful idea and they want to spend 1 million pula on manufacturing a product. But then we look at it and say, is there a way for you to actually execute this better and more in a more economical manner? So i.e. the equipment that you're highlighting in your proposal, can you cut and things like that. So I think for the main things, it's research, execution. If you can cover those 3 things, you can expand on them as you see fit in order for you to deliver it.
Fantastic. Thank you. Mogobe, do you want to add something before we wrap it up?
Like Fred correctly pointed out, yes, on Mogobe Nuggets, we do cover this. Actually, when we started the Nuggets, I had a 10-point system, which I'll just run through very quickly. One, in terms of how to do a successful pitch. We take the the would-be investee and just run them through this. Before you appear before a whole bunch of angels, can you just tick the boxes in terms of, are you sufficiently confident about the business? Do you understand what you're about? Number one. Number two, when you do pitch, involve the investor early, indicate whether there's a debt proposition or it's equity proposition. Right. Make it clear at the beginning. Number three, show that you have mastery over your subject. Some people may require to do additional courses to brush up and to know a little bit more about what they are talking about. And then, of course, number four, proof of concept, which venture capitalists call traction. It's very important to cover that and to be ready with that. And then five, we ask them to be visionary, very visionary in terms of what's going to happen. You have to paint a picture. How is the investor going to benefit? What are you saying 3, 5, 7 years down the line? Have that sort of outlook. Number six, what are the pain points? Where have you had difficulties? Where do you think you're still challenged? Be open when you pitch about the pain points, what you're working on. Number seven, focus on, try and be focused, because mostly you'll be thrown a few questions. Don't get distracted. We try and show them, me and Guru Muti will try to empower them in terms of making them, it ties into the first point about confidence, but don't be distracted by questions. Number eight, have samples or props, or even if you like, you could say prototypes ready, depending on whether it's a service or whether it's it's a manufacturing concern that you are thinking of. And then number nine, demonstrate how you're going to utilize the funds. Quite often, young entrepreneurs don't actually indicate to investors. They say, I need $1 million, I need $500,000, but they don't show how that is going to come in and be actually applied once the business starts. Number 10, and finally, show that you are personally involved. We've had some entrepreneurs saying that they're going to appoint a CEO and other people. So most investors want to be sure that you have skin in the game, you're committed from the beginning, and that have to demonstrate that. So that's a compressed version of what we take the investor through, the investee through.
Fantastic. Wow, great. Words of wisdom. Thank you very much, everyone. We're now going to move on to the Q&A session. So I'm sure a lot of people have some great questions. And yeah, thank you very much for those insightful points. And stay safe and healthy. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, we'll move on to the Q&A and then some more networking.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Sure. Bye-bye. So now if I could ask all the speakers to just turn their mic and camera on, please. Hello, Mythri.
Hi, Shai, and good evening or hello, good day to Milang, everybody that's tuned in for this session.
Mm-hmm. And let me just bring here, see Fred. Bring on Mr. Mogobe. How are you, Fred?
Fred?
I'm all right. How are you guys doing?
Good,
thanks. Good. I like your background.
Yeah, no, it's very necessary. It keeps you happy in the office.
Absolutely.
That's why important. Mr. Mogobe. How are you, Mr.
Mogobe?
I'm good. How is everyone?
Great, thank you.
Fred has a lot of fun in his office.
Oh, that's where you are. Yeah. Lovely.
Okay, so we wanted to open up the floor for questions. We wanted to have a floor for questions, so we have here a few questions. So any notable businesses that you have invested in outside of Botswana? And feel free, whoever wants to take the question, of course. Yeah, please.
Let me just shoot. I'll go first and let the men warm up. So in fact, Shai, one of the most interesting investments that our members made was into the Launch Africa Startup Tech Fund, which is tracking at this point somewhere between 17 and 20 million US dollars in fund value. And this fund essentially, and that's distributed among something like 52 plus startups. Now, this fund essentially is looking for any tech-enabled startup across the African continent that shows positive traction already to date and shows a really good trajectory for growth. That particular fund has actually invested into Alpha Direct, which is a Botswana domiciled and Botswana originated insurtech startup that is now growing out across the rest of the continent. They've got a partnership in Zambia, for example, looking at Kenya, looking at South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria, exciting and scary markets by all accounts for Botswana. But that's basically what that fund does. And several of our members invested into that. And we're constantly also looking for opportunities, even within Botswana's borders, to push forward good tech startups that might be fit for purpose for that fund. Some of our members also invested into a super app company that is Francophone West Africa based called Gozem. And I would simply describe Gozem as an Uber for lower and informal working classes. So lower income and informal working classes, and it's already diversifying out into financial services and ancillary services. And I think at last count is in 4 countries in West Africa. When we invested into Gozem, they were in 2. So, I mean, it's a fast growing startup and pretty exciting, but we tend to want to focus more on Botswana originated businesses for the most part. And if there are good Africa initiatives, then we look at them. But that's really how that's gone.
Right. Fantastic. Fantastic. Fred, Mr. Mogobe, would you like to add something before we move on to the next question, or?
Yeah, I think there's also the legal check, and it's in the process of being closed at the moment. So it will be announced.
In fact, I'm investing into that, so I don't know why I forgot that. Yeah, and that's an exciting one, Fred, and a good example again of how we sort of get the power of relationships and networks to come to play. Because as Fred rightly points out, that legal tech startup was introduced to us by Josie Angels, which is a fellow Angel Network, and we lean on them quite a lot for know-how and advice on how to navigate some waters that maybe we haven't gone through. And this legal tech startup is founded by a family business. They are legal practitioners, and they've figured out a gap in the market where SMMEs find it hard to affordably access legal advice to grow their own businesses, right? Be it commercial agreements or incorporating or compliance issues. And so they said, what if we use the power of technology to condense some of this legal information in easy, bite-sized kind of accessible pieces, and then almost give that out for free and then farm it through the ecosystems that manage SMMEs. And in the Botswana scenario, those equivalents would be SEDA and LEA. And so that's an interesting and exciting one, because again, it's using the power of digital technology to make services more accessible to the bottom of the pyramid. Yeah, thanks for that, Fred.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to move to the next questions, but I think it's a good idea if anybody, if one of you have something to add, just, raise your hand or just, say, just
Sure.
Feel free and barge in, okay? Okay, interesting question here. Are you open to getting more angel investors joining your team?
100%, all the time, 24/7.
Great.
From
Okay,
anywhere in the world.
So there are 2 people at least who asked that question. So please feel free to reach out directly to Mythri, Fred, or Mr. Mogobe, or of course me or anybody else in Power Africa. Happy to connect you guys, okay? All right, next question. We're a startup in Botswana called Trade Data Systems. We're looking for investment, but our business is not 100% Botswana owned. Would our business qualify for funding?
Okay. So ideally, I think as Mythri mentioned, we are open to investing in businesses that are either based in Botswana or outside on the. And recently, Europe is also an option. So any company doesn't have to be
shareholding.
Doesn't have to be 100% Botswana owned. We will be able to come on board to invest in this in this particular institution. Obviously the things that we require, traction, proof of concept, like that, that we look for in a business are what counts more than who actually owns it.
100% makes perfect sense. Okay, great. So we have another question here. What do you look for when the entrepreneur pitches to you as angels? Guess that's a, you know, quite a general question, but very important. Maybe you can give like a, you know, snippet.
Okay, so I see my trip dropped off. Okay. All right. If you just want to know more about Angel Network Botswana, as a first step, you can shoot on off to our, that'll be www.angelnetwork.co.bw. There we different files and bits of information that speaks to whoever, how you can go about that process, and then anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, who's an entrepreneur. It also explains that process in that form, along with the application form. So our funding form generally looks, obviously, the first part asks about who you are. We just want to know, you know, your name, business name, where your business is located, what sector you're in, you know, the kind of problems that you're currently, then how you're solving these particular problems. Thereafter, we'd like to know, focus on traction, as I mentioned before. So obviously you'll have your MVP. Once you have your MVP, you've taken it to the market, you've tested it, had sales. Good thing, depending on the kind of models you're running, is if you can prove that you have customer retention. Right. It's very, very important because, you know, repeat business, things like that. It's also good to know your in terms of, you know, when you come to the angels, you know, what's the value of your business? How much are you looking for to invest in your business? What you want to do with that particular amount of money that you're requesting, in quite a bit of detail. You know, so such things. Vision that somebody has, where are you trying to take your business? You know, where are you seeing it years from now? And another important side is your team. If you're alone and you're a small startup, it becomes more difficult for you to manage certain bits of it. But if you have a very, very good concept, obviously we can come on board, help you grow your team and whatnot. I think, yeah, those are the most common things that we would look at.
Right. Fantastic. Next question here. How do entrepreneurs determine how much equity they can release to investors?
Let me just look at this. How do you
yeah.
Okay. So, you know, an example of a recent transaction that we're about to close. Mr. Mogobe.
Go ahead, Fred.
So the young lady's come to the she's gone through her pitching process. She's gone through the due diligence. She's come up with a particular figure, you know, for investment based on the fact that she wants to buy equipment, you know, working capital and whatnot. And then she's also come with valuation, advised, and how do I put this? In a nutshell, actually, let me put it this way: she's come to us with the request for funding, you know, highlighting what she wants to invest the money in to grow her business. She's decided how much she wants, and then valuation aspect now is what, obviously, you know, whether you're doing a discounted cash flow. There's many. You just have to speak to an accountant, financial advisor, things like that to determine how best. And then when you pitch it to the angels, you know, have a decent idea of where you feel your value is sitting at. There might be some pushback, definitely, but you know, it's a negotiation, not a war.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Another question here: which sectors are you prioritizing at the moment? Are there any sectors that you guys are prioritizing?
I think we're prioritizing any particular sector. If you look at the startups we're involved with now, we have e-commerce, we have real estate, we have legal. We are not too fussy as to particular sectors.
Right.
What we try and do though is once. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
what to make sure that we have in-house expertise in a particular area. If, for instance, it's something to do,
Right.
somebody like Arun, to handhold the investor through certain formalities. So, to answer your question, no, we're not fussy as to which sector to focus on.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, please tell us a little bit more about individuals that make up the Botswana Angels, right? So somebody's asking about the A and B. Who are these fantastic individuals?
Okay, I think our last meeting we had yesterday, we set out, we have about 48 angels. So I'll do every single individual in there. So I'll just mention some sectors. Yeah, you have Mythri who's dropped off, but she was on. She's in financial. You have Mr. Mogobe. He's in hospitality, legal, real estate. I think farming as well with his son. You have people like myself, sectors for manufacturing and general consulting. You have, I think, Ananth core here somewhere. I'm not sure. Do you see him is with us on the call? You have individuals who are in the FMC, in medical, pharmaceutical. It's a very wide range of angels who are on board, but there are a total of 48 at present. And as per previous, getting people angels from Botswana and overseas as well.
Okay. Wonderful. Mr. Mogobe, Mythri, you want to add anything?
I think Mythri is having challenges there, but yeah, an array of professionals, and we have people who have, I would say, they have reached a certain level of accomplishment in terms of who have quote unquote disposable income or investable income that they can part and ask. So it's
right.
Of individuals and professions.
Right. Okay, fantastic. So we need to come to a close because we want networking. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close up? Fred, Mythri, Mr. Mogobe.
I think Shai, I'm not sure if Mike is with us.
I think from my side, can you hear and see me?
Yeah.
Great. Mobile data because we lost power, so our router is down. So I'll be very quick. I think from my side, I certainly want to say that A and B is still very young. We're open to new members. We're open to partners such as Empower Africa, all the government and non-government agencies that are into enterprise development. Most importantly, we're always ready to listen to enterprising age and background. We really don't care, who have a good proposition, have got some kind of runs on the board, and have a narrative for how they're going to build this business and why they want us to be a part of that growth story. We're always willing to listen to any founder with a viable proposition. Obviously, our passion is Botswana. Our passion is growing the private sector in Botswana to a point where it's thriving and as dependent as we are today on the public sector for growth. You know, we're at meritorious business opportunities. That's the bottom line. And all of us, we do what we do at A and B absolutely for free. And but at the same time, I think we feel very highly rewarded because this is where our passion is. So we're all accessible and open to any further questions and outreaches from any one of those stakeholder groups. That would be it from me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mythri. Okay. So Fred and Mr. Mogobe, yeah, please.
There's one or two questions that have been thrown in the Q&A. I don't know if they'll be available on the net if we're able to copy them and paste them in the general chat, and then we can just try and answer them just through typing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what we can't, then we can,
Yes, it will be available once we're in the networking. And I urge anybody who asked a question that hasn't been answered, you can feel free to reach out to one of the senior leadership here of A&B. It's just that there are a lot of people that also want to network, and our time is short. So this only means that we can do another event soon and, bring more people to discuss and hear, because you guys have so much to talk about. And of course, what you're doing is tremendous, right? Even if you were doing it just in Botswana, that's tremendous enough. But the fact that you are also doing things outside of Botswana just opens up a whole new market, as you can see from some of the questions and so on. And so this is, of course, tremendous, because these are the two sides of the table, right? These are investors who want to invest and empower and, create more jobs and drive investment and job creation in Africa. And then there are amazing entrepreneurs that have amazing ideas and are, bringing the execution. And what they need to scale and to succeed is exactly that mentorship and investment. All right. So you guys are doing an amazing job. And before we finish the presentation and again, move to the networking, for those of you who are not yet part of Empower Africa Business Community, I put you can first of all download the app. There's an Apple and Android app of Empower Africa, but also you can join with the link that I put in the general chat. And just to let you know about our next events, we have 2 events next week. October 11th, we have Meet the Members with Hema Valab, who is co-founder and CEO of Womb Hub and managing partner of 525 Ventures. In addition to that, on October 20th, we have our next monthly event of Africa's emerging tech ecosystem. And we're going to have 2 portfolio companies from Launch Africa, led by Zach George. 2 of his portfolio companies are going to present. They're going to present their product, their track record, what they've been doing so far. It's going to be super interesting. So everyone's welcome. And, follow us on Empower Africa to see more about our events. Thank you so much for joining us, Fred, Mr. Mogobe, Mythri. It was a pleasure having you. And we'll see you guys on the floor with some more networking. Take care.